I think we need to know the truth that, sooner or later this thing is going to implode. I really hope it does not. Um, but we'll get into that in this video. The Eagles and Giants on Christmas Day is another game in a few days. Is a must win, obviously. And want to talk about some of the news and press conferences that did happen just to hit on a few things. So let's get straight into it.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yeah, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So I want to go over some news from the Philadelphia Eagles from the other day regarding the team in general, where we are at, and if we are ready to get a win this week and not let it be 4 straight losses. I saw that there was a bunch of Eagle fans that were trying to rally themselves around the NovaCare, and it was for positive reinforcement. It wasn't negative or anything like that, like it was the first 2 weeks, which isn't a bad thing. I've noticed that some players have been not fighting with fans, but, at least when I see players that are on social media and they're trying to, defend their quarterback or defending the team in general, at least I know that I'm getting some type of, I feel like they are caring. The players do care. And I feel like the players do care throughout the week. I feel like every week we've had the last 3 weeks, the players have kind of reset themselves. But once the coaching aspect gets into it on game day, the morale just drops all the way down. And then we're back to square one. You can't have the players being so high during the week and then so low during these games because of, the worst, the play calling that still goes on, is just a problem. And will this thing implode sooner or later, even more than what it is right now? It hasn't reached the tipping point yet, surprisingly, but hopefully it doesn't. I'm going to go over the injury report for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, we all know the Eagles will be wearing the black jerseys on Christmas Day against the Giants, which we all kind of knew that. Zach Cunningham has a knee injury, did not practice. Landon Dickerson will not be back this week. Got the surgery on his thumb. So most likely Sua Opeta will be playing left guard because he can play both guard spots. Nicholas Morrow did not practice, so now 2 linebackers are out. And I don't know who else you got. Ben Van Simmeren, and now you have, Shaquille Leonard. Darius Leonard is going to start in this game, most likely. If they can't practice, it could be a rest day. So one of them, I would think, has to be back at this point. Slay had the cleanup in his knee, so he did not practice. He won't be back till the end of the year, most likely in a few more weeks. Devontae Smith did not practice with a knee. Smith didn't practice, I think, last Thursday, Friday, something like that. So he didn't practice, I think, late in the week. I think it was last Friday he didn't practice. So I think they're just resting him. I don't think he's not going to play. Cam Jurgens had a full practice for the pectoral, obviously. So hopefully he comes back to right guard this week. So he was a full practice, which is a great thing. And Avonte Maddox had his first practice, his first full practice. Now, the Eagles were actually supposed to do some walkthroughs this week. Today, I think yesterday, they were supposed to be scheduled a couple walkthroughs, and Nick changed it. He had 3 full practices with pads on. So now they got to work on a lot more, especially the defense and the tackling, and a lot has to be worked on. And this team does not need light practices. Yeah, sure, they need to rest up some of these guys, which some of the guys really do need to rest up, but guys need a lot of work. So they've converted that to more of the full practices with pads on. So we finally get to hear from Matt Patricia for the first time. And, man, I didn't almost unrecognizable. I lost a lot of weight and just looks, man, haven't seen him. I know we saw him on TV for a brief minute during the game, but, man, he looks definitely a lot different than he did. Definitely puts a lot of blame on himself for the last series against Seattle with the big touchdown to JSN, and he would get that call back if he wanted. Leaving Bradbury on an island with late safety help, it just didn't get there, obviously. And that's, or maybe no safety help at all. Sorry, I'm thinking about so many plays we got burned on in that game. Especially pretty much the last series, and he said he would have definitely liked to change that call. So hopefully look, the defense, like I said, I thought they played well. I think they had 2 bad drives, but the offense was the main concern. Even though the defense only blitzed 1 time in the second quarter on a 3rd down in red zone, which, the Eagles held Seattle to 3 points on that drive. And I felt like we got a lot more production out of newer players than Eli Ricks, and obviously, Keely Ringo really showed a lot, which we've been talking about all week. But he is in cooperation with, and Sean Desai. They do work with each other during game day. So if Sean Desai sees something that, that's not being seen or notices something, he lets Matt Patricia know on the field. And then Matt will talk to, obviously, the green dot on the defense to make the call. Or any changes that they have to make there. Sean Desai is still, I guess, in the defensive scheme, as we heard from Nick, that Matt Patricia is taking over Sean Desai's playbook, which it's not his playbook. It's Nick's playbook that he kept from last year of this scheme. I really hope that Matt Patricia does run some stunts or something, because your pass rush can't hit home because you're not doing anything on your defensive line to confuse any offensive lineman. You're straight up just playing base with your defensive line, and it's not going to work that way. If you're not running stunts, you're barely blitzing, not even 2 blitzes last game. I mean, what do you think you're going to do? Your corners are going to get burnt, and you're going to have an issue down the road here. So hopefully some changes come Monday, and hopefully Matt can have can be a little bit more aggressive. I mean, I feel like we're starting all over again with this defense, and hopefully for the better. For the next few games we have, then going into the playoffs. So he talked about, him and Slay's relationship. It's fine. I'm not going to get into all that because it really doesn't matter to me. Jalen Herz had his press conference. Just went over some things about, the commitment thing. Now the commitment thing that he talked about wasn't about the team. It was about himself, which I highly doubt at this point. And someone asked him about, that pass to A.J. Brown. Like, was it his first read? He said yes. And then they asked, well, are you coached to throw that? Are you actually coached to do that? He said, no, not necessarily. Well, I mean, you didn't, check down to Kenneth Gainwell on that play. And unfortunately, that was just a pass that Nick Sirianni tried to get a flag on it. It was the underthrown. It's called the underthrown PI play, which that's what they do. And this it wasn't for A.J. Brown to catch or try to catch, but it was more for getting a flag. It's a play that should result in a flag. It's not even trying to get the ball to the receiver. Obviously A.J. Brown has to sell it and go back to the ball, and hopefully they could draw a flag, and that's what that play was all about. And I thought that was really pathetic to even hear from our head coach at that point of what that play was supposed to be. There's only a certain amount of time, even going into Monday or going into Christmas Day against the Giants, okay? This whole thing is going to implode sooner or later. And like I said, I've been giving it a chance the last 3 weeks. And, can they beat the New York Giants as probably the second or third worst team on our schedule, okay? But because the Eagles don't play normal when it comes to their offensive playbook, between analytics and between the control upstairs, and I've been saying this since the beginning of the season, that's what it looks like as of right now, a few weeks into the season. It's only going to be a matter of time if the Eagles do lose this game on Monday. It's hard for me to even say they're going to win this game. I would love them to put over 30 points up. I mean, you can't even score over 7. You can't even score over 20 points on Seattle. I mean, what are you going to do against this team? You know what I mean? I mean, the Giants, yeah. I mean, the Eagles should win this game. But what is giving me any type of comfort from what I heard, and I understand that the coaches aren't going to say certain things because of game plans and something like that, but Nick is talking like a controlled robot. Like, I put the cassette tape inside, I press play, and that's what he's supposed to say. Okay, it's like pulling a string on one of those old school dolls and letting it go, and it's saying the same thing almost every single week. Because it's gonna, sooner or later, it's going to happen. Sooner or later, Herz is going to get fed up with the coaching staff. Herz is gonna, and I agree with Big Sills said the other day, or yesterday, about as much as Jalen Hurts is getting a lot of flack, the coaching staff is not helping around this entire team, okay, with the control upstairs. How do you think they ran Doug out of town? Because they didn't want they wanted Doug to hire from within. They didn't want Doug to go out and get some new blood, and Doug wanted more control, okay? Once Hertz has an issue, and it's going to happen sooner or later, especially if they lose against the Giants Monday, it's going to get bad. Hertz is going to fight with Nick behind the scenes. Nick is going to start to get, Nick's controlled right now and making horrible decisions, okay, because the front office wants these decisions when it comes to analytical offense, certain play calls. It just doesn't add up to me that Nick Sirianni's a former wide receiver and doesn't know if it's his game plan. A former wide receiver doesn't even know how to open up plays for certain players in your offense, and you don't have any excuse because it's not like you don't have an offensive line, you have no running backs, or you don't have a number one receiver on this team. You have everything you need to make this a 35 plus 40 plus point scoring offense for this team. Okay, that's where I get into the mix of a lot of things with Nick and what the Eagles want him to do. They're not going to hire a head coach that has experience, that has an ego like a Deion Sanders. They won't hire a guy like Bill Belichick because they don't want anybody to challenge Howie Roseman or Jeffrey Lurie. Okay? That's the whole issue with this team right now. And I don't see it getting better. I hope I'm wrong. I hope things change. I hope things switch up. Like when the reporters were asking Nick Sirianni the other day, a couple days ago, about accountability and the standard, Nick was getting so fed up and pissed off. So maybe that was a good thing that he was getting pissed off. Because as a head coach, you're told to do something, you enforce what you're doing, and then these press conferences, Nick can't be that stupid. You're making yourself look stupid by some of the things that you have been saying. Okay, there's no way that Nick is sitting there saying these things and come on. I think we're all smart at this point. I think we know when he's just following a cadence to what he's supposed to do. And I think the front office, like I said, has a lot to do with game planning every single week with the analytics offensively. I'm not even talking about the defense. I'm just talking offensively. Okay? And it's a problem. I mean, you've done literally, if the analytics are what they are right now, how many games have looked so much similar this year? It's like crazy how many games look similar this year. When we first started the gauntlet and we were literally doing nothing in these first halves and then really digging ourselves such a deep hole, that this is why I give Jalen Hurts so much credit to put the team on his back on so many games. But it's only going to last so many times in 1 year because teams are going to figure it out. Your substitutions are horrible. If Jack Stahl comes into a game, he's not getting the ball. If Cant Gainwell gets into a play between the 20s, he's not getting the ball. He's there for pass protection. You're making things way too obvious. There's no RPO. There's literally 8 plays that they do, and they still do them every single week. Every week. Now it's worse now. Now they don't run the ball enough. Now they don't run the ball with the right personnel enough. You've wasted a couple roster spots. Getting more players means absolutely nothing. I think the offensive line hasn't really played up to par at times either, but it's not them. I think there's been a little bit of lackluster with a lot of positions on offense because the fucking energy level is shit and it sucks and nobody wants to once players 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, pick. Once this shit happens in games, everybody's fucking energy goes down. And then people just stop giving a shit. And I'm telling you right now that if the Eagles lose against the New York Giants, okay, if you lose against Tommy Cutlets, all right, this ain't going to be good. It's not going to be good. This is the shit I'm sick of every single year. First we used to use analytics for drafting, and we kind of stopped doing that. Thank God. And look at the great players we've been drafting over the past 3 seasons. Okay, and then I see all these other news of players that used to play for the Eagles, and this is another thing that fucking pisses me off. It's literally player after coach that leaves, successful. Everybody's successful when they leave Philadelphia. I know why, because it's the coaching. Because the Eagles can't produce under the ownership of Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie. Okay? They can't produce players. Kevon Wallace leaves Philadelphia off waivers, has a good offseason last year of his contract, goes to Arizona, plays a bit, does okay, but, there's no answer why Gannon even got rid of Kevon Wallace. He didn't even have an answer. They just need to make room. The Tennessee Titans get him, and he's playing pretty damn good off waivers as a safety last year of his deal. Okay, TJ Edwards, Alex Singleton. I mean, it's disgusting, the players. So every time we go into an offseason, whether it's OTAs, training camp, joint practices, preseason games, okay, number one, they have to change what they do in preseason because they don't play the starters enough. But number two, every time we hear about a player playing bad and they leave, they play good elsewhere. Every time a coach leaves, they play good elsewhere. Most of the time, Jim Schwartz, look what he's doing in Cleveland. I mean, Doug Pearson, look what he's doing in Jacksonville, and doing, and I think he's doing a pretty good job over there. Because they're not going to hire a guy that's going to have an ego. They're not going to have a guy that's the problem. They're not going to hire a guy that's going to have control. They want to be yes men, and that's all it is. And I hate hearing it. And I 100% believe it's on ownership and GM. 100%. I'm tired of this shit every fucking year, dude. And because the scheme is failing the players. It's failing us to produce players that we could see that there's gems somewhere. Yes, I know Kevon Wallace. I know with the example, he was here 3 years. I get it. And he was hurt and he was on special teams. And who knows what would have happened. But this is why with that defensive scheme we have now, how are you supposed to get the best out of your players by playing off ball so much with your secondary? I mean, the good thing I've seen so far is Keely Ringo. There's something there. Definitely 100% as a future number 2, there's something there. Eli Ricks, flash in the pan at times. I wouldn't say there's anything promising, but there's something there a little bit that I think we have to wait on. Another offseason with the Eagles, see what he could produce. You have Rodgers coming back from the gambling situation next year. Eagles going to have a lot of open spots at corner, okay? A lot of depth. You know what I mean? So it's just insane. It's just, this is all the shit that I think about. And then now it's all starting to come together as one big fucking puzzle that connects. It really is. And Nick sits there and says that our offense has been ran the same way the last 3 fucking seasons. 2 seasons, whatever. Are you serious? So you're saying what Shane Steichen had no involvement in play calling last? Who's telling him to say this shit? He knows that's not true, right? I mean, come on now. You gave away the play calling in 2021. I mean, it's crazy how I have to talk about all this. I don't even want to, I'm not even trying to talk about the offseason or anything like that. It's crazy how we're acting as if the Eagles only won 3 games this year and the season's going to be over in 3 weeks. How this is going to implode more if they lose, not win the division, and they get into a playoff game, which they already clinched. They have a playoff game to play right now. Just imagine, if they lose to the Giants this week, or they lose out, or they win one of 3 games, and they go into the playoffs and lose again, something needs to change. Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie need to let go. Howie needs to worry about the roster, and that's it. Okay, and the head coach needs to have, I don't know, because I can't, and Nick's not a bad players coach, but he needs to keep his hands off when it comes to scheme, and Howie needs to keep his hands off and not be involved in anything the Eagles do play calling wise. I don't know what other teams do this shit. I don't know what other teams actually do this. I don't. I try to think every day and look at other. I get jealous every time I watch football. Another team plays on TV, and I'm just like, man, like the Saints aren't even good, and they run a better offense than us. It's fucking disgraceful. It really is. And I've tried to be the most upbeat, and Eagle fans have been fighting with me the last 3 weeks. You know what? It is what it is. If people don't like my fucking opinion about shit, it's what it is, because I respect everyone else's opinions. It's because I make a video about it, and it is what it is. You know what I mean? If they lose to the Giants, I already wanted somebody fired last week. It's no secret. I wanted MidSeason Fire last week after Seattle's loss. I already wanted somebody fired. But at this point, they're not going to fire a head coach. They're not going to fire a coordinator. They're not going to do any of that because they have a playoff game to play, because they have time on their side. Remember, since the 49ers lost, I was saying, well, the one thing they have is time on their side because, hey, you got 4 weeks of football left. Now you got 3 weeks of football left. Time is ticking to get this shit fixed. There are Eagle fans out there that think they could change everything around. I don't want to get, this team doesn't deserve me giving them a score. Like, this team can't even score over 17 points against Seattle. Like, serious? I mean, the offense, had opportunity after opportunity, and you want to throw these fucking deep shots. It's just, you don't know how to use players. Every route takes 10 years to develop for us to get the quarterback connected with the receiver timing-wise. You don't use your tight ends. You don't even fucking use your wide receiver threes at this point. You don't use Swift. You don't even use Penny. He's a waste of a roster spot. Julio Jones gets 1 catch. What the fuck are they doing? Seriously. What are they doing? And because your defensive line is not running stunts or anything like that, there could be a idea that, at this point, Saquon Barkley probably could run all over us at this point, if that's the case. And everyone's saying, oh, well, Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis have run into a wall. Yeah, they've run into a wall because the Eagles have done nothing to help the defensive line create more pressure. They don't blitz. They don't run stunts. They literally just say, line up and play. That's all they do the whole entire game. You're not going to get pressure that way. You're not scheming at this point. You're just letting it go. You're just lining up, playing, and just saying, fuck it. That's all you're doing. And it annoys the shit out of me. I can't stand it. This is more than a Nick problem. This is a front office to Nick problem. This is between Nick, Jeffrey Lurie, and Howie. Boom. It is going to affect producing players. It's going to affect how your season goes. And yes, I can't imagine the Giants beating us, but it's likely could happen. I'm not going to walk on eggshells and say, I can't even, it wouldn't fucking shock me. It wouldn't shock me. It would more upset me than shock me. And if that's the case, it's done. It's in my opinion, I already had them already done at this point. And to be honest with you, Nick's comments really didn't help this week at all. I have more faith in the defense with Matt Patricia kind of running it, kind of taking over it, running it a little bit, than what these 3 fucking idiots at the top of the organization are doing for this team right now. With more weapons on your offense, I have more faith in the defense going into this fucking game than the offense. That's how sad this shit is. So that's all I got to say. That's just what it is. Tommy DeVito has not played in Philadelphia. This will be the first time. I hope the Eagles don't disappoint on Christmas. I really don't. And really, how they win is really, I'm telling you, I told you after that, if they didn't beat Dallas, I was going to be more crucial and more picky, and I'm going to be really annoying, because if they win by if it's 16-3, 17-3 or some shit, or they can't even dominate that defense, I don't even know what to say. If it's some low scoring fucking 10-7 fucking game, the whole game, back and forth, because both sides can't do shit. Or give Tommy DeVito the best fucking game of his career, because we've done that enough quarterbacks already against his defense. So we'll find out what happens. Because if you came and score over 20 on the Giants defense, then I don't even know what to say, honestly. They have to look somewhat. The rosters are night and day on both teams. There's no way. And this is how much coaching actually fucking hurts your team. So that's all I gotta say. Trust me, guys, I'm sick of hearing myself every day bitch about shit. Trust me, I'm tired of it. I'm really tired of it. I want shit to go back to normal, or at least I'm not bitching about everything. But this is a problem. 3 straight losses. Problem. You let Tommy DeVito go into Philadelphia and beat you? Oh, man. And if the offense just looks out of touch again, it's only be a matter of time till Herz is tired of this team. Nick is fed up and talks to Howie, and then that's when. And then as soon as Nick goes up to Howie and Jeffrey Lurie about changing things, he's gone. Nick will be fired immediately. Not probably the season after the season, but he'll get fired once he starts questioning. Like, okay, I think I need to have some more control over. Once that happens, Nick will be out the door. If Doug was out the door that fast, literally a Super Bowl win and 3-4 playoff appearances, they'll cut you out the door. If they did that to Doug, they'll do it to Nick as fast. As fast. You guys let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. Love you all, the support, everything. Trust me, I support the negative comments. I support the people that tell me I'm wrong. Or if I didn't have faith, I wouldn't be doing videos. Okay? If I didn't have faith, if I didn't feel like this team, I talk shit about this team because I care about this team. Because I know they are a good team deep inside. But these reoccurring bullshit acts they've been doing all year is holding it back. And that's what I want to put the word out there, that it needs to go back to what it was. So, can't tell me that Nick can't tell me the offense has been running the same way the past 3 fucking years. Sure. Okay, buddy. Guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. More Eagles updates every day. Like the video. It does help out the channel out tremendously. Love you all. See you guys later. Peace out.